So welcome, everyone, to the sixth and final talk of our summer session. For these 6 days, as is typical of Zen, we've been talking about reality and experience, a fact that's beyond words, not mapped or mappable by our enculturated or assumed ways of knowing. The reality of who we truly are, what this world is by nature, intrinsically, a world and way of being that awaits our discovery. Always more to discover. Our sitting embodies it, expresses it, and invites us to taste and see. Taste and see. Be what you are. In all freedom. Let your life awaken to itself. Already so. So how? Practice realization. Entering the 10,000 myriad dharma gates, each of which is none other than you. We started this session with Mu, case 1. Mu never leaves. Where could it go? And we hear again and again that every koan is nothing but Mu. It's true. So it seems fitting now, on this last day, last word, first word, to turn to the last koan in the Unmann or Gateless Gate. Case 48. This also shows up in the Book of Equanimity or Shoyoroku, case 61. So here is the case. Read from this beloved old book brought back from Japan decades ago in English. This is Kempo's One Way. The case. A monk asked Master Kempo in all earnestness. In a sutra, it says, 10 direction Bhagavats, one way to the gate of Nirvana. That's the quote. I wonder where the way is. Kempo lifted up his stick, drew a line, and said, here it is. Later, a monk asked Unmann to give instruction about this. Unmann held up his fan and said, this fan jumps up to the heaven of the 33rd devas, or the 33rd heaven, and hits the nose of the God residing there. the carp of the eastern sea leaps up. Or another translation, it's struck with a stick. And rain falls in torrents. Or it rains torrents as though a tray of water is overturned. That's the case. So Kempo. Chinese sounds something like Qianfeng. He was a disciple of Tozan Ryokai Dongshan, one of the founders of the Soto sect. We touched on Tozan yesterday with Seppo recounting Tozan's awakening verse. I don't know if you recall that. He says this beautiful verse, and Ganto says, yeah, forget it. You're full of it. That's not your words. Still, what a verse. And then there was that line from Tozan's 5 ranks. The cry of the cuckoo never ceases. I'm told that in Japanese, this evokes the image of the cuckoo actually bleeding from the throat, that cry. We don't know much about Kempo, the record of his teaching. But before going to Tozan, he studied for a time with Unmann, great, great Dharma era of Seppo. Just telling about this tree of life of our ancestors. And of course, there's all these branches that go unnamed. Some of them coming to light, especially the women. But this support, they're all here. Really feel it in Sesshin. Sometimes, not so much here in the beautiful little Doksan room, but when I was in Italy and there was this large Doksan room, quite beautiful, a restored old kind of castle, really. And so they had to actually cordon off part of the room. It was beautifully done, with shoji screens and tatami mats. And there was this whole large rest of the room that originally, back during the time of the plague, had been at first the stables. You could see where the doors had been. So it was, all this open space, and being there with students coming one at a time, and it felt crowded. A wonderful feeling. Crowded with the ancestors, crowded with the sisters who lived there and cared for people who had the plague. This little village, they brought them there. At any rate, in this case, Mumonkan 48, a monk comes to Kempo in all earnestness. Unmann loves that phrase. Open, unguarded, sincere, asking the fundamental question. The question that keeps coming up here in this room, here in the chat. What is the way? Where is the gate? What do I have to do to find it? Or in other words, what is this life? Who am I? how can I realize freedom and compassion, the total peace and bliss that in this case, in this tradition, gets called Nirvana. Nirvana. I just thought of the last line of Hakuin's Song of Zazen. The place where you stand is the pure lotus land. And this very body, the body of Buddha. There's no other. So the monk comes quoting a line from the Surangama Sutra. 10 direction Bhagavat's one way to the gate of Nirvana, this sutra says. Bhagavat is Sanskrit, a name of praise for Buddha or awakened nature. And traditionally it has 6 meanings: freedom, prosperity, noble, name, auspice, so auspicious, highness. It's about you, your true nature, each one of us, not just free, but the whole of this freedom. What is this? What is this? Each one. Freedom itself. Each one rich beyond any measure. You know, it's not talking about the great inequalities we tolerate and suffer, having, not having, this fundamental prosperity, which is actually having nothing. Suddenly hear Ryon Roshi saying, if you have just a little bit left in your possession, then you're really poor. But we don't. This prosperity and noble, you know, if only we could see. Name, auspicious highness, extending in the 10 directions. What Chosa Changsha calls your entire body. Thank you for the wind, for the birdsong, for the light. The sutra extols this one body throughout space and time, all pervading. Each and everything is Buddha, everywhere, the straight way, the one way to Nirvana. It's just a name for total awakening, for absolutely clear, for everything put to rest. I mean, in terms of measure, this nirvana is considered the highest state of enlightenment, the boundless clarity of the essential world. That's this world. Let that in and our hearts just sometimes I just think, what did I ever do to be so lucky to find this way, to share it? This boundless clarity isn't hidden. It's just what this is. Awakening can seem far away. Somebody here said it. Not to mention Nirvana. But that's not how Dogen sees it when he describes practice realization, the circle of the way. I quote this often. It is so clear. Between aspiration, practice, awakening, and nirvana, there is not a moment's gap. That's Dogen, this circle. Everywhere. Continuous practice going on. We think, oh man, I didn't sit today. Everybody will know, my partner will know, my class will know, the audience will know. I know. Yeah, really. But it's going on. One way. How could there be a gap? I wonder where the way is, the monk asks. So grateful for these monks. Our questions. Doesn't have to be a monk. I wonder where the way is. Kempo lifts up his stick. Already done. And he draws a line. Here it is. Here is the way. Here is the gate. Here is your whole body in 10 directions. Here is you. True nature, original face, native ground, original spontaneity. The tumble of names for just this. Or just this. It's so whole, without remain. Well, we get tripped up a little on that, like, well, yeah, this is whole, but then there's that stuff. Whole. Like moo. There is nothing that is not that. So what about the 10 directions? We spoke of this before. Every point on a compass, 10 directions. Could be 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, 10 billion, infinite directions, and all right here. And each one, all of it, that prosperity, that capacity. I mean, it's not of our doing, this so virtuous. And we think, oh, I made a mistake, or oh, I've got to fix this, improve that. Yeah, let's work on it. Like Suzuki Roshi has that great quote, each one of you is completely perfect, and you could use a little improvement. A single gesture, a sincere heart, the marrow. I wonder where the way is. Actually, the monk's showing it right there. Kempo. Here it is. What is he really showing? Take away the stick. Take away the line. Take away the body. What remains? I really appreciate that question in sitting. It sort of is this dropping off, taking away this, taking away that, this falls, that falls, this falls, whatever comes up, oh, that could go, just, and then what remains? Kempo's showing this Nirvana itself. Anything there? Dogen writes, sort of wonderful Dogen, Kempo's words, "It's here," are the 10 directions. Like that question, I wonder where the way is. Just generously, thoroughly showing it. Every sound. Dogen goes on, the world-honored ones, the Bhagavats, is the staff. Just flashed on Sesshin with Ryon Roshi, and when they're in Europe, they're often in, what were former monasteries or convents, because the monks and the sisters have gone, and they have these beautiful facilities that they have so wisely kept and renovated, and there are many, many beautiful retreat centers all over Europe. And we meet at them, here, there, but the Zendo, well, sometimes every single room will have a crucifix on the wall in the room. And in this particular place, we had this Zendo all set up, all these people helping, altar, and the wall behind the altar had a crucifix on it. And, Buddha on the altar, photograph of Koan Roshi. And in one talk, Yamada Ryon Roshi is talking, and suddenly he stops and turns and he says, that crucifix on the wall is Jesus Christ. This stick is Jesus Christ. Yeah, I won't go further. It was to really see that. It's the way this love is unleashed in the world, utterly unleashed. Dogen says the staff is, it's here. Just that phrase. Can you see it? The one path, he says, is no other than the 10 directions. Here it is. This cannot but be you. No. Nothing but no. And the way to move, there's no difference. This way from the top of heaven to the bottom of the earth, one stick, one lifting, one line. All time, all space, morning star, awakening. So just in case we hold fast, oh, it's so beautiful, this gesture, this stick, it's so simple, just this. In case we want to, Unmann adds to this. He pairs this with an instruction from Unmann. The Koan says, later a monk asks Unmann to offer a teaching on this. Unmann holds up his fan. Oh, I was about to say use your imagination, but no. Here's the fan. He holds up his fan and says, this fan jumps up to the 33rd heaven and hits the nose of the God residing there. Unmann's describing his world. 33rd heaven. Is it near? Is it far? Where could it be? What about that nose? There's 10 million miles between this fan and this nose. No measure and no distance. The carp of the eastern sea leaps up and rain falls in torrents, or rain falls in torrents as though a tray of water is overturned. Or David Hinton writes, if someone takes a stick and even so much as touches a carp in the eastern sea, rain pours down by the bucketful. Get out, it's just this topsy-turvy world. It's so dynamic, so free, so infinitely creative, so capacious, and so unconditionally one. One. And empty. That's what this is. Nothing at all. And yet, coming up right here. And yet, this extraordinary, unique, and unrepeatable gathering, whatever we want to say about it, this, gone. But this, a way of naming that is boundless compassion. You take a sip of water, and my thirst is quenched. That's so Unmann is showing the same world Kempo presented with that one gesture. Sort of killing, giving life, killing, giving life, how they're together. Highest heaven, fan, stick, carp, rain. Same as drinking tea or eating those wonderful, homemade round cookies with the little treats in them. Or all of the delicious food we've been having here. I really hope there's a taste of the experience that we are nourished in this mountain cloud dining room, and everyone in the cloud is nourished. Dogen writes, how can we consider the universe of many worlds large? How can we consider an atom small? Both are not true. Then he asks, how can you get it right with a single phrase? I love this saying. A frog on the ocean bottom eats porridge. The jeweled rabbit in the heaven washes the bowls. That's going on. Dining room, kitchen. Scott sometimes so kindly picks up, just silently takes my empty bowl, walks to the kitchen. The whole universe is carrying that bowl. Some commentators say about this koan that Kempo drawing a line just takes everything away. Just. And Unmann, with his fan and freewheeling activity, gives it all back. Holding fast, letting go. Death, life, life, death. But Unmann finds both masters presenting the whole quite freely. And ... Here's his commentary. One goes to the bottom of the deepest sea, heaving sand and raising dust. The other stands on the top of the highest mountain and causes white waves to billow up to the sky. On the one hand, they are gripping it tightly. On the other hand, they are letting it loose. So each of them extends a single hand, and together they support the essential principle. That's us. They support us. They support this fact. They actually are it. And then Unmann writes, it is just like two running boys colliding. He's pointing to the case. In this world, there will be no one who has realized the truth completely. Examining with the true eye, I find that neither of the old masters knows where the way is. Why is that so moving? That's such a relief. Neither knows where the way is. All these words for a fact that's more intimate and immediate than any word. fact that just doesn't do knowing and not knowing. But it does this. So how can we realize it? Just now. That's the practice. Come home to now, here, nothing but this. They're calling it the world of Nirvana. Not something to earn or prepare for, like if then or when then. Doesn't do that. Doesn't care about that. Not beyond or above. Nothing to prove or disprove or deserve. Nothing to figure or to have to stop figuring as a prerequisite. How does it show itself? How does it show you? In complete innocence. So natural. Sit and practice realization and just let the world, move, just move, come to you. Right? You, of course, is just a placeholder. It's just come. The Dharma wants to awaken us. It delights. It jumps up and dances the sundial. I just wanted to close with this little piece of a verse from Master Sekito that mentioned him as author of this Song of the Grass Hut. Beautiful long verse, and this is just the last bit of it. Stanza, whatever you say. He writes to us, let go of hundreds of years. Excuse me. Let go of hundreds of years and relax completely. Open your hands and walk innocent. If you want to know the undying person in the hut, if you want to know the undying person in the hut, don't separate from this skin bag, here and now. We really can't separate. So let's give up that project. Let moo be moo. And let it come home. Thank you for this shared practice.